Critical EDH. I'm on them Nashville Nibblers.
Dude, yes. How's it going?
It's good, man. It's good. Welcome back from Nashville.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm Logan. I'm here with Austin. And got a little bit of a different setup today, different lighting. We'll see if it works out. But, man, we had a freaking weekend.
Yeah,
dude.
it seems like it.
There's been a lot of crazy stuff happening in cEDH. This is a picture of me and Eric at Lan Go, and it was an awesome event top to bottom. And while we were there, we had like no inclination that anything untoward
Just in the dark, man.
was happening or anything like that. Like, it was just all good vibes, really, really good time. I think there were like 700 people there.
Wow, that's impressive.
It wasn't a tournament. It was like a convention.
Okay,
It was a whole deal.
So how did it work? Was there like the Legacy tournament and there was a Vintage tournament there too?
I don't know. There were other formats there.
Okay.
I'm not really too sure about that because as soon as we got there, we had to like get unpacked, set up, get like locked in. We got in like a couple games Friday night, and then we woke up super early Saturday, just hit the record button and like started streaming. So we'll talk about all that. But first, we have Mortal Kombat coming up.
We do indeed.
I'm
super stoked.
So excited. Things are shaping up. We've got pretty much all the details locked in, and things are just starting to come together. It feels really good. Still having the like the big 2 thumbs up from Dave and Buster's, and they're excited as well. So
I mean, it seems super interesting. Like it is nice to have like that final relief off our shoulders of like basically all the planning is done.
Yeah. We have a couple minor things, but like that's just putting the like the advertisements out there and just trying to get the final word out and stuff like that. But if you are at all interested in playing in a really fun cEDH tournament in which we will heavily enforce time limits on top 16 and top 4, we would invite you to join us at Dave & Buster's in Denver. It's a 1-day tournament. It will be about $5,000 in prizing, depends on if we get full attendance or not. But there will be vendors there. We'll have food, drink, games,
man, games,
things to do. That's like if you finish your round early and you want to go hang out with your friends and stuff like that. Like,
or if you inevitably crash out, you can just go play some skee ball.
I would never.
Yeah.
Gold Sabertooth will be there. Freedom Waffle will be there. Taking photos, and it's going to be a really good time. So really looking forward to it.
Same.
We also released another preview from Steven. He's just putting out these tokens, and they're just all bangers.
Yeah.
So this is a spirit token, obviously Pac-Man, but we have the ghost in a bunch of different colors. And after we got done coloring them all in like pastel colors, he's like, wait, Pac-Man can't really eat them until they're blue. And I was like, that's a good point. So we have like one that's really blue to go along with it. So it does look really cool, but I think these are going to turn out really well. So we have all these, we're going to have them for sale. We'll probably just hand some of them out too at the tournament.
Is Steven going to be at the tournament?
Yeah.
Like, is he going to open up like commissions maybe up there, or...
We're still talking to him. I'm trying to get him on like hey, this is like how you do these things.
For sure.
And he's very quickly going like, okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
And like, I gave him a deadline. I was like, hey, we need kind of like, if you want to get art pieces out for the tournament, we need stuff by this. And he sent me like 10 things.
Yeah. I saw some of the preview stuff. It looks awesome.
So we'll keep releasing some of these previews. Obviously his art is really great. So thanks, Steven, for doing that. Check out his Instagram. We'll link it below. Also coming up this weekend is
Cradle to the Guild.
Yep. I wish I could go.
Yeah, man. Same.
It's just not going to work out for us. But right now, I think the number of registered is actually quite a bit higher than that. I think they're around the 90 mark at the moment.
The last time I looked, same.
But they have really good pricing. The venue's really cool. They have these like tables that are custom made for Commander, and you have a place to like put a drink that's not on the table.
Right.
And like a place to put your bag and stuff like that.
I also think that they are running, maybe they're not running an event, but there is another silver or gold event happening the day before.
Oh, okay.
So I think Commander Cookbook is maybe hosting it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you're interested in either of these events, they're going to be in Phoenix. Again, there's going to be like a good amount of people going, and Papa Squat's a friend of the channel will be there. So
I wish I could go. I need a foil cradle. I need one of those things, man.
Yeah, that would be so nice. like Grim Monolith would be nice. I don't own one of those yet. I don't own a Mox Diamond yet. But like for me, it's just we were absolutely cooked from this weekend, and we kind of need to resettle and process like all the footage we got this weekend. Even like I'm not gonna have time to do that if we
right.
It's just not. It's just too much.
Too much traveling in the next like 3
I know.
months.
Well, there's too many good events.
Yeah.
There's too many good events that I want to go to.
For real.
So,
yeah.
I know this one's gonna be a banger, so check this one out too.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we were going to talk about, I think we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Where's the tab?
The 10K.
This one.
This boy right here.
So this weekend, in parallel to our event at Lan Go, there was a cEDH convention at Salt City in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a toss-up for us to go to this one or to go to Nashville. But at this event, everything seemed to go fine up until we hit the finals.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah, just a little bit of a snafu out there, you know?
Yeah.
First of all, I do think we need to talk about all the positives of the event, right? Like, they did some really cool things with their event ticket, where they were doing, like, transport from the airport, and they were doing some other random things with their ticket. And I think that's really
I think
cool.
they had, like, included food and snacks
like
and
a pool party or something like that.
Yeah,
like
it seemed like it to be more of an all-inclusive experience, which was really cool. And I think that it makes it a lot easier for players to travel because you go, I just buy a ticket. I just have to worry about my plane ticket or however I get there. And then once I'm there, I'm good.
Right.
It's pretty neat. And
I think it's a cool idea.
It's a cool idea. And also it takes a lot of coordination to do all that.
For sure.
So,
I mean, we're learning that right now, right? Like,
yeah, we're definitely learning that. So, I mean, there's been lots of really good things to come out of this tournament and lots of interesting decks that were played and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But what's overshadowing all that is the finals game. Tell us what happened in the finals game, Austin.
It went on for 11 hours, and there was multiple breaks. There was multiple judge calls. There was just a lot of negative things that happened.
Well, breaks and judge calls are not inherently negative.
Yeah.
They happen in every tournament.
True. Right? I'm talking about all the extracurriculars as well.
Okay.
That didn't need to happen.
So what I would caution our audience is that watching the stream is one thing. And if you watched all 11 and a half hours, good for you.
You know more than us.
For sure.
Like 100% more than us.
Yep. But there's also things that are happening out like off stream that where people can't hear. So that could be judges talking in the background.
Yep.
TOs talking in the background. Event organizers going, how do we handle this? That sort of thing. All kinds of things can be happening. So I would caution you to be careful about speculating about unknowns.
Right.
And so even if you hear something maybe on the stream, you might not hear the context of that or a player being told something, things like that.
Or the logistical nightmare that is happening behind the camera.
Exactly. So it's a bad situation overall because I don't think any TO or player wants to be put in a position where you're locked in a game and you don't have an end in sight.
For 11 hours. Could you imagine?
Kind of. I can kind of imagine.
The
only reason I can imagine is because Eric and I sat in a room for 2 days. We sat in a room for 2 days and we streamed basically from 9:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning until like midnight or 10 o'clock at night.
Like it, for sure.
Sure. So, but in that time, we got up, we went to the bathroom,
You looked
we
at
had to
new
run
faces.
errands, We, shook hands with people, broke down the setup. There's so many different things we did, right? But largely, we spent most of our time sitting in a chair in front of a monitor, casting games or working the stream or things like that. There was a game which was pretty long. It was 4.5 hours long because that was one of the top 16 games we cast. Right. That felt like an eternity.
And that was less than half the time.
That was almost a third of the time.
Yeah. Wow.
So I know how I feel at the end of a 10-hour workday, which is my normal day is about a 10-hour day. So not including travel time to and from work, things like that. I cannot imagine being a player who feels like they're kind of held hostage. And not by another player, but by the fact that you've invested your time, your money, your resources to go to the tournament, and you're going, I'm fighting like tooth and nail to win the prize that I came here for. Because that's what you're doing in top 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is not me pointing the finger at any particular player, because honestly, I don't have enough context.
No, they're locked in, man.
Yeah, but you're like, if you're a top player, like, you like, screw you. I'm not.
I'm going to try to go to the deep waters if I need to.
Yeah,
right?
but like, if a TO is going to give me the leverage or the space
to do it,
I'd do it.
Yeah, especially for a Cradle, right? Like for
a foil Cradle,
or foil Cradle, right? Or for $10,000, right? Like it's a 10K.
Yep.
Obviously, that pricing support.
I'm sitting in that chair until someone tells me that you're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you lost. So
yeah. So, like, what do you think could have been done then?
I think you have to start. The problem is start at the top.
Right.
And I don't know the people that organize this tournament.
Nope. I've had a few conversations with them, but
I'm not really passing any judgment on these people. But if you want to avoid these problems, you have to put some sort of system in which they just can't happen. Yeah,
we need to put boundaries, right? Like there needs to be boundaries put on to the semifinals and finals games. And like I understand that we are so used to seeing untimed rounds, but that needs to change. And this is very evident of that.
I mean, it was untimed within reason. Yeah. And then the players start pushing the boundaries.
Right.
Because I said this before, like goldfish grow to the size of their tank. If you give them a big tank, they'll get huge.
Yep.
Right? So if you give them an unlimited size tank, who knows what could happen?
Which is exactly what happened. It's like the logical conclusion of quote unquote untimed rounds. Yeah. Right? Is that this will inevitably happen if we don't make the change now.
Yeah. We have to do something. TOs have to do something. And then if players push back against that, oh well. Like this just can't happen. Yeah, it's totally inappropriate because, from my understanding, there's players that were concerned about childcare. There's players that were concerned about missing their flights.
Hotel checkout stuff.
Hotel checkout being a problem.
Yep.
General fatigue just being a problem. A player needed some crucial medicine that they had to take at like a particular time.
Yep.
And like you shouldn't. Realistically, outside of emergencies, having to stop games for those things.
Like a hobby shouldn't force you into this situation, right?
No.
Like it's absolutely insane.
And I would be incredibly angry at not the other players in the pod, but I would be incredibly angry at being put in this situation.
Yeah.
Regardless of what of those 4 players I am.
Yeah, especially when you're in that situation and you are playing for whatever amount of money or whatever prize it is, you are not thinking about some of these things that we're talking about, right? You're not thinking about the exhaustion that your body is dealing with. You're not thinking about any of that stuff. Like there needs to be some oversight of a TO or the judge that needs to basically be like, hey, like this is not okay.
It's not okay. It's too much. People have died for less.
Yeah.
Like, and by that I mean like the story of the League of Legends player who sat in a chair for however long at a like a PC bong and died.
I think it happened with World of Warcraft back in the day too. Like 2008, 2009.
I've had loved ones, family members pass away on an airplane because they got a blood clot and that traveled from their leg to their lungs and they suffocated.
Right.
Like this is not right.
It's not right.
So I'm incredibly concerned because this was allowed to happen, and obviously at this point it was so extreme. I don't think it will happen again.
No, I think this is a pretty good explanation point of we need to change how we look
exclamation
point.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right.
This needs to change, and we need to change as a format now.
This is a breaking point for sure. So, I mean, it's just from my perspective. We were at a tournament, we were finishing up our day, and I got a message from Jason, and it said, "Wow, the finals are still going on at Salt City."
It's a 3-day event now.
No. The first message I got was that it was 6 hours.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, wow, that's really long.
Yeah.
And then after that, we went to grab food. We were eating food. And then we watched a little bit of the stream, and I was like, oh, these players are they're just shells of themselves.
Yeah.
They're not some are autopiloting, some are
Dude, that's me in an 11-hour tournament. Could you imagine an 11-hour game?
Right.
After 2 full days of playing too?
Yeah. And
this isn't even them giving their best either, right?
No, but yeah, what do you is it a test of endurance?
You're not even competing, yeah.
Is that what we're looking for? Is that what we want?
No.
It's not what we want.
No, absolutely not.
So and then it just kept going on. We were up until 3 a.m. Packing to get home, and they were still going.
Yeah. And I went to bed after the Lan Go ended. I popped over to watch just a little bit of stream to see where they were. I was like, oh, I'll check the results when I get up. And I got up and they were still playing.
Yeah. I went to bed. I passed out at 3:45 in the morning. They were still playing. It was 9 hours or something, 9.5 hours. And then I woke up and it was oh, it's 11.5 hours. So how did you go 2 hours longer than that? So anyway, that's enough about the time there. The other thing I wanted to say about it was if the video or the VOD does come back up, which it's down right now. I don't know whether it will come back up or not. I have no information on that.
Same.
If it does come back up and you start watching and you're past the, let's say, 3 to 4 hour mark, totally discard anything the players are setting.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, when...
it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't. The hours 4 to 11 and a half don't matter.
Yeah.
They don't.
Imagine all of the things that you have probably said in exhaustion. And,
you're delirious.
At some point in your life, you have probably said things that you regret saying.
You regret, right? Or you don't even...
you don't even know.
Yeah, you think one thing and one other thing comes out of your mouth and everyone goes, what? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just... I find it hard to use the word disgraceful, but it's nearing that. It's not respecting the players.
Mm-hmm. Not respecting the players, not respecting the format.
What's even sadder is the online community, the greater online community, pointing the finger at players and saying, well, they're bullying, or I'm like, what are you talking about? Hour 7 when he said an offhanded comment or something like that, and it's it's so far past what we should even be doing or even talking about that. Why are you, I could be liable to say any number of things.
100%.
Are you being tortured at that point? Because that's basically what's happening.
Yeah, especially we have very bright lights around us, and in that room, I'm sure they were sitting in the same spot, probably in the heat. These things,
they're all wearing headphones.
Yeah, they're wearing
for 11 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know how much of a headache that causes?
Oh, I can't do.
Especially those are the studio headphones. I know those are not comfortable.
Yeah.
So anyway, for a myriad of reasons, I have a lot of problems with this. I would ask that anyone that watches this video, please give the players in this game a lot of grace.
Yep.
I know that Gold Sabertooth is primarily a target of a lot of the discourse and comments and stuff. And I'm not going to defend his actions in the game, but I will defend him as a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's the nicest person that I've ever met. Like, he truly cares about the game. He truly cares about players and stuff. And I've had a few conversations, and he's pretty hurt by a lot of the comments that are going on.
Well, and that's all we can ask for, right? Is that those are our personal experiences with him, right? And our personal experiences he's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Like.
And I don't even know that like the players that are in that game would say the same thing.
Yeah.
So like I don't know why.
That's not what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah, I just don't think that us as outsiders should really be opining on what is going on with the players. Mm-hmm. From a structural standpoint, there's plenty of things to comment on.
Absolutely.
Right. So
there's things we can definitely do better at, right?
and I don't think any of us could predict how we would act being put in that situation.
Yeah. So I know I don't think I would like myself in that situation.
No, and I don't want to be on camera in that situation.
No, absolutely not.
So that's where we'll leave that topic. Again, just please, let's take a breather, give it a second thought before you start making comments, because there are real people on the other end of this, and what largely seems like a structural issue should not be pinned on the players. Yeah, agreed. So, and that's a good way to put it. All right. On a better note, I guess on a related note, it just kind of like relates, right? Yeah. So one thing that we did want to bring up, there are additional rules in the MTR and that address this. You want to talk about this because you brought this up? Yeah, man. I mean, in our Discord, it was something I didn't even know, but the fact that MTRA 4.1 does exist, and I don't think that the vast majority of our player base in our community know about this rule, about the fact that you, as the active player, can request people to not speak and yap, right? Stop yapping. Yeah, like they're allowed to speak and politic, and they have every right to. But you, as the active player, have every right to be like, shut up. Basically, stop talking. Yeah. Right? Like, it's not, you can't say shut up because that pushes you into the aggressive, sort of politicking realm. But you can be like, judge, players are talking over my turn. Mm-hmm. I need them to be quiet so that I can take game actions, and I can also take correct game actions when they don't try to influence me to make wrong ones. Right. Like, hey, I need to go into the tank, right? Like, we've all been there. Yeah. And this rule allows people to kind of do it, right? Yep. Not for an excessive period of time, but if you need to sit and think on your thoughts for a few seconds, this allows you to do it. And people need to use this rule a lot more than I've never seen people even talk about this, right? Like, we're always talking about the yapping culture of cEDH, right? Of tournament EDH. It's very fun. It's the absolute best part. It's why we love the game. But it does get excessive. Sometimes. It can, right? And this allows new players and even older players, right, that don't want to lean into that part of the game. This keeps them at a level playing base, right? Or a level standing. Yeah, level playing field. A level playing field, right? And it allows people to force the issue of being not allowed to yap. And not allowed to weirdly make people make mistakes. I like how cleanly this is worded. Yeah. The active player may request the table to stop excessively influencing game actions to progress play. Mm-hmm. Failure to do so may result in an unsporting conduct minor penalty. Yeah. So, like, if you call a judge over and you're like, hey, these guys will not shut up. Yeah. They won't stop while I'm trying to play. And they always have something to say. And I'm not asking them to say anything. Mm-hmm. The judge is going to stand there and watch you play your turn. Mm-hmm. If they do it again, then they get a penalty. And we've all been there being like, hey, can we please make some game actions? Especially with the overtime rule, right? Sure. But like now this is a rule that's in our law. Yeah, it's in our back pocket. Like, I've never used this. 100%. But like, we hint at it with a, hey, can you please make some game actions? Mm-hmm. But now this is like, if they're not doing that, be like, no, we can grab a judge and I will force you to make game actions, right? Yeah. Like, I think you get a turn skip, or like, if you can't. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good thing that we all need to acknowledge that it exists, right? Mm-hmm. And it is nice to know that the rules of a multiplayer game like this
allow those conversations to happen.
For sure. So I would highly recommend that if you're interested in tournament play, or if you do play in tournaments, you go read the MTR and all of its addendums, because there's a lot of stuff in here that we kind of take for granted, or we might not even know about.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I literally didn't know this existed until this week.
Okay. Well, that's a good one. I'll definitely have to revisit that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Let me change this so we can see it. Our comment of the month is by a friend of the channel, Chris Spalding. Regarding the permission denied conversation, how many counterspells should a deck run? If there's already so many auto-include counterspells for controlling decks, such as Pact, Force of Will, Force of Negation, Swan Song, Fierce Guardianship, Flusterstorm, Mindbreak Trap, Mental Misstep, etc. And then there's others that are not quite at that level, such as Flare of Denial, Strict Serenade, Offer You Can't Refuse, Dovin's Veto, Dispel. Those also take up those like counterspell slots. Do you run all of the auto includes, and then like how many flex spells do you run?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting conversation, right? I think it's super deck dependent, number one, and it depends on like what your deck is trying to do and what your deck's trying to protect. If you having a conversation with Ian at one point, he's like, if you're trying to if your deck's plan is to be a mid-range deck, you need to be able to get to the mid-range plan, right? And how do you do that? You need to have enough interaction to get you there. And I think that's a really interesting concept, right? But I know
a lot of like very proactive decks are cutting Force of Negation, for example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they want to play on their turn. Drawing Force of Negation doesn't help protect you on your turn.
Right. And the amount of blue pips and blue cards that you have in your deck, like, it's such a complicated question, and the answer is you have to test, right?
Yeah.
I know that's
a really good answer.
Yeah, you have to test, right? Yeah. And I know that I feel in my current deck that I'm playing in Yoshi Thras, I feel my interaction suite is a little bit light just because we are going to this turbo-y-ish summer. At least I think there is a storm brewing, right? Sure. And I'm like, I need to add another one. I need to add a Swan Song or maybe a card that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But I think that the normal answer for like a blue deck, unless you're playing this like crazy proactive approach, is like around 7, 8 to 10. But I
think 12 was the kind of traditional number. 12 was like the normal number, but I mean, it's also just like preference. Some people don't like Pact of Negation because it puts them in a bad spot, or they draw it at the wrong time, and they're like, well, I can't pay for this, so why is it in my deck?
Right.
Stuff like that.
And people also look at other cards that can kind of do counterspell-y type things as interaction.
Such as?
Like a Silence. Right? Yeah. Like, oh, hey, like this is kind of does a job sometimes, right? Or like a Veil of Summer. Sometimes people will like try to put that as a 0.5 counterspell. Right? But like the answer is just testing, right? Like, however many spots you think you need for interaction, that's the right amount.
I think that spells like Flare of Denial, you have to look at your creature package and go, do I have a blue creature at like 90% of the game? Yeah. And if you do, then Flare is great. Yeah. If you don't, then it's like, why is this in the deck? So, for example, in Wrong Side, we have lots of blue creatures. And by lots, I mean like... Enough. Most of the 10 creatures it runs or 12 creatures it runs are blue.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been running it, or I've been at least testing it in a lot of Thrasios lists, and I think that card is criminally underplayed, especially in our Grand Abolisher Voice of Victory.
It's a universal counterspell as well. So, for example, in Wrong Side, you can use it to sack Aura Thief. You can use it to sack Notion Thief, so you don't deck yourself. Right. You can use it to... get Malevolent Hermit into the yard. Things like that, where there's those incidental synergies on top of just having a decent amount of blue creatures.
And it's the same thing with like Offer, right? Like Offer can be used as a ritual in a lot of decks, right? Yeah. Which I think that's how people are using it nowadays.
It's crazy. Well, also like on top of the stack, you can counter your own spell below that's already going to get countered. And then you're like, oh, I just have mana now, which is interesting, but I don't know if it's good.
Right.
Dovin's Veto. Like, do you have the pips for Dovin's Veto all the time? Do you have white blue?
Mm-hmm. And like
these are things you have to consider, because all these, the way that this works in a design space is that wizards will make spells that are uniquely different from each other. Right. There's always going to be a plus or minus. There's never going to be that one that's like, oh, this is just better than everything else.
And that's
because that already exists. That's force of will.
Yeah. right.
So there's not going to be a power creep force of will.
Maybe.
Unlikely.
Yeah, I'll give you unlikely. I really do think that you just need to look at your game plan as a deck, right? This is why Tivit can run a lot more counterspells than decks that are like Roxai, right? Is that they want the game to go late, so they need to be able to get there.
Does Tivit run more counterspells than Roxai?
I think
My
so.
Roxai?
Well, you're not. No, I'm not talking about wrong side. I'm talking about actual Roxai, right?
That's
or
fair.
like I guess Tivit runs more counter magic than Rog Thras as well, right?
Oh, sure.
Like, and it is just like the game plan is a late game plan, and it needs to force the game to get there, right? Yeah. And so you just need to look at what you want to be doing in your game plan.
I think there's also, at this point, there's pretty much a counterspell that can do whatever your deck wants to do, and like that one should go in. So for example, Sisay has a really big problem with Opposition Agent.
Yes.
So you should be running Strict Serenade.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, maybe Sisay players don't agree with that, but I see a lot of Sisay decks run it. Right. For that reason. Or they run like, Swords to Plowshares to get rid of the Oppo and stuff like that.
It's the same, like, not the same concept. I guess it's the same concept as like Magda running Bolt to kill Oppos, right? Like, they need to run these silver bullet cards to deal with
to project the game plan
their
or
silver
advance their
bullet,
game plan.
right? Yeah, exactly.
So another good example would be like Mana Drain in Tivit. It helps you get Tivit out pretty easily because you're like, oh, I can Mana Drain and then I just have 3 pips on my board and then I'm good. Yep. So look for those incidental synergies and things that make those spells good outside of the ones that are common.
Right. Yeah, I think it really just depends. It really depends. You just got to test.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. So much like anything, it depends. But when it comes down to it, do the testing and see what you like. And maybe you just like lame ass regular counterspell because you play Urza, like, or
you could play Maelstrom Wanderer and have blue and have 0 counterspells in the deck. Yeah,
I love that deck so much. Anyway, moving on to some other news and good news. Our league for May has closed. We have stopped accepting new entries for the league. We have about a week left to close out the league. So that includes getting your final games in, and then we're going to start the top 13 after that. Yep. So what we're going to do is overlap the results for May, and top 13 will continue on until they're finished because they basically have to schedule out their games.
Right.
I know who I'm playing against. When can we all meet to make this work?
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is start the June league June 1st.
Okay.
Last thing I want to say about the May League. Right now we have 79 people signed up.
That's so wild.
It's so cool.
And there's games launching at all times.
There's an active game right now.
Yeah. Like, I'm at work at like 7 a.m. and someone's launching a game. And I'm just like, what are you guys doing?
But that's only going to get better as we get more people to sign up.
Of course.
And just having that population is just so great. I don't know of any other leagues that are like doing that.
I also want to shout out, like, a lot of the members on our Discord are talking about the quality of player that they're running into in our league specifically, being like, I'm getting so much better practice. We have we have a few people that are getting cooked all the time, but they're still loving it. They're still playing. Like, they're still playing. And they're
shout out to Blake. Yeah. Blake is, I hope you don't mind us saying this, you're last in points, but you're still firing games.
Yeah, all the time.
And like, he's won a couple.
Yeah.
So like, good for him.
But it's been a blast. Like, it's been a blast playing games with the community as well.
Yeah. I wish I had a little bit more time to do so, but I know Eric is freeing up a little bit. So, and then Jason's like, I'll play some more.
Jason sees someone points and he's like, all right, I can join this game.
Yeah. But we're having a lot of fun with it. And, in order to expand the league, and I think something I'm trying to work out with other content creators, this month we're working with Gold Sabertooth. We're offering league entry to extend that into his Patreon as well. Okay. And so what he's doing in return for us is offering up prizing. So he's offering a commission as top prize, which I don't know if you know anything about Gold Sabertooth commissions. Yeah. They're not cheap.
They're not. They're not cheap at all.
They're not cheap in the slightest. So he's valuing it between $500 and $1,000. That's kind of his normal price range. He doesn't like to put a number on it because it kind of depends on what you're asking for and stuff like that.
Sure.
But if you win, you can win this commission and you can design whatever you want on a playmat.
And he's like super flexible when it comes to designing the playmat.
Yeah.
Like when we were designing the Critical EDH playmat, there was a lot of suggestions that he was like, yep, sounds great. Let's just do it. And
I don't know that I would, but I might almost pay that much money for just the experience of like saying like, oh, we have to go on stream or work with him directly.
Yeah.
And like, because just talking to him while he's going and like, drawing and
watching his process is super interesting if you haven't caught it on
But also
stream
he's
before.
asking you for like feedback and he's asking like, what kind of element do you want here? Or are there any includes or like a special, just like notes or
yeah, what kind of Denver meta stuff do you want written on the side, right?
So this is your chance to get one of those, and his Patreons are great too. Like I know there's a lot of ours that cross over into his as well. But basically we're trying to grow the league, and this month we're adding in support for his Patreon supporters. So first place will be that commission from Gold Sabertooth, and you can get it on a playmat. And then top 4 to 8, we're not really sure, will receive some sort of unique card and entry into the next league, which will be July's.
Okay.
And some other stuff that we have in the works we can't quite announce just yet.
Okay. Do you know what type of like point systems we're doing?
I'm working it out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we'll continue with the Japanese point system. Yeah. I know that it kind of like it spread the players pretty far apart.
Very quickly too.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
So what we could do is maybe do the Japanese point system, but have the percentage be lower.
Sure.
So we could pull it down from like 7 to like 4%.
Okay.
Or like 3% or something like that.
Okay.
So that while you can build the lead, you kind of have to play more and more games to maintain or keep that lead, or like make the lead larger. Because right now, if you play a couple choice games, you just kind of get that lead, depending on who you win against. But it also, right now, you can, if you play against good players and you're ranked lower, you can kind of like leapfrog.
You just gotta take a shot at the king, dude.
We're not sure. We could just use a standard point system. I'm going to talk to Gold Sabertooth and see what he wants to do. But we're expecting big numbers for this coming month, and that's just how we want to run it.
Yeah.
It should be fun.
It's going to be a blast, man.
Other than that, let me switch scene back so it's centered. This video is so good. I've only watched probably the first 40 minutes of it, but it's 3 freaking hours long.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so cool. I haven't gotten a chance to like actually watch it or listen to it. I usually listen to them in my car on my way to work, but them
you
doing
might
such
have to go
long form.
a few trips to and from work.
I mean, I just got to drive down here twice and it'll be fine, right? No, I think them doing like such long form content like this is super interesting and a unique space.
That's a good card. Is they're Kyle and Ya are really trying to stretch their legs, or starting to stretch their legs and push the limits of what they can do. And I applaud them for that, because while I do appreciate hearing them talk about individual cards and unique cards, I'm like, I just want to hear you guys talk. Like just talk more.
The way they evaluate cards is very unique when it comes to a player, right? I also think their like last episode with like the guest, having a guest on, to be like a stand-in for one of them was so fun to listen to.
I think all 3 of them were there.
Yeah, they were. I'm just like, he took the role as
I see.
one of them and was like, all right, this is the card I'm pitching, which I like it. That is a good card.
Yep.
But I think this like long form content thing is really, really interesting. And
so Eric Taylor, he has if I'm wrong on this, just feel free to correct me. He has a podcast with Lamora and they have it's the Learning CEDH podcast. So that's the connection there.
Okay, interesting.
But he's known for playing Korvold. He has a very particular build. He played a lot.
Pre-ban,
the Mad King, he played pre-ban.
Right.
And then he's like, actually, it's been really good post-ban, but because of his life circumstances, he hasn't been able to play in tournaments as much.
Okay.
But he's been playing it, and he's like, it's still really good.
I have actually never seen this cEDH deck in the wild.
Oh, really?
Because I played my first week of playing cEDH was like the week before the bans, right? And so like I heard of this deck.
Yeah.
And I heard that it was
crazy,
pretty good and awesome to play against and a fun time, right?
All that stuff, yeah.
But like, it is one of those like died by the dockside, you know. And apparently not, right?
Long live the king, I guess. Like, dude, the deck is still around.
Hey, who would have thought that all those dockside decks are all coming back?
Kyle plays the landfall variant, but both are on like Warren Soul Trader and some of these new includes that have really kind of brought the deck back.
Okay.
So
it's really interesting. I really want to play against it, and I'm hoping I get to see it soon.
The other thing that Eric was saying about the deck was while Korvold is a really good engine and can often get you into wins, he feels that it's extremely important for the deck to stand on its own without the commander, because there's so many situations that you can't play the commander,
right?
Or it dies, or anything happens, because it gets out of hand really fast.
Yeah,
and so people start looking for.
I mean, it reads like a broken card, and I've seen it casual, right? Like, we've all seen what the deck does. I just never saw the dockside version of the deck or the cEDH version of the deck,
right?
But I'm excited that it's like getting some. There's like an underground current of this deck that's like, oh hey,
it's still there.
There's something there, you know?
Yeah, and content like this does a really good job of sort of backfilling the information like hole, because like you said, you don't really know a whole lot about it. You know that it draws cards and stuff like that, but and like it used to be fast, but like what is it doing now? And,
right.
And listening to this will tell you what the deck is doing now.
Which I think like that whole idea of like there's a gap of information on some of these like older commanders for newer players, specifically because we're getting so many cards from Wizards that like there needs to be stuff like this out there to explain some of these older decks, right? Yeah. And I think that's like super cool that they're doing that.
Yep. So if you like Korvold or you like Jund, please check out this guide.
I do like Jund.
And I really do. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to finish it. So
yeah.
Anyway, check this out. Next up, we did want to talk a little bit about Lan Go and how awesome that was. I know you weren't there.
Yeah.
But I was. And unfortunately, Eric isn't here to share that experience, but he'll probably just say the same thing I'm going to say. Top to bottom, it was incredibly well managed and well run. It was a well-oiled machine, and I cannot stress that enough.
It looked like you guys were having a blast streaming.
I mean, outside of the minor internet problems we had day one, we had a minor outage day two where everything paused and we stopped all the games. We let the stream come back up and everything get sorted, and then we were good for the rest of the day. Outside of things like that, we didn't run into any issues, but that's out of the control of the tournament organizer.
Right.
That's not.
Right. Yeah. I think also shout out to the chat. You guys were killing it during this entire stream. Just some of the things that people were pointing out and some of the suggestions on what moves players were doing like before they actually happened. It was fascinating to watch these things.
Our audience and our chat, and I know that there were a lot of people watching who are new to our channel, but I would say that I recognize a lot of the core members of people that comment on our videos and participate in our Discord and League and stuff like that. You guys were on the ball, and we really appreciate you looking at games and analyzing what's going on, what might happen in the future, and start looking at like, oh, it looks like he tapped his lands wrong. He might not be able to go for the win because he did that and he didn't notice. Or he didn't tap that land to pay for a spell.
Yeah.
And then let's go talk to the judges about it. Yeah. And we'd like bust out of the room and say, like, you know, on a boogie board, which is like one of those erasing
things. Right.
We'd be like, hey, check this. And
like before it became a problem, it was caught, which I think is like very good for the integrity of the game. Right.
But like, it wasn't egregious things, and not to say that like players are making intentional mistakes, but like significant mistakes or things like that would actually be a detriment to the game.
But you don't want to like taint someone's win, right? Like you want to catch it before something actually like goes past. And
it's not really our job to be like, oh, you know, he missed a fish trigger or something like that. Or she missed a smothering tithe, or whatever.
Looking at that stuff is really cool.
Yeah, and people noticing that. And because you're in a different brain space when you're watching 4 players play than when you're playing and you're playing against 3 other players. So that was a really cool experience. Streaming was really fun, and I don't know that we've ever like commentated or done any live commentary before like
there
that.
Was a lot of compliment on how you guys took like the golf commentary approach. and everyone's like, this is exactly how this needs to be done from now on, because you guys let the games breathe and then commentated using some knowledge, right?
We got a couple comments that we were talking over the players, but we can hear them more clearly than the stream could.
So interesting.
Like we heard them at full volume. And if they said anything important, or if they were just like, you know, talking or what, like, I would say like, hold on, let's hear what they have to say, or something like that. So we did our best to not miss anything, but this is our first experience and first time doing this. So
I think it went really, really well.
First day,
obviously,
we were still kind of getting our legs underneath us, but second day we were like locked in. We felt really good.
Okay.
And I think both Eric and I were really on the same page, and especially during that Loomer game when
Eric got to just show.
Eric just realized like maybe 10-15 minutes into the game, he's like, oh my god, he's on my deck. Yeah, like almost like 99 cards on the deck.
One card different.
Yeah, and it was like not anything that would matter at all. And it was a shame to see that player not win, but we were also very careful as to not even push it in any direction.
Right.
Because like not to say that like the players could hear us or anything like that, but even with like if there was a judge call or something like that, and the judge would come ask us for like, hey, we need to look back at
footage,
the footage. Right. And having the ability to do that is, especially in crucial games, and the judges were okay with it. They're like, it's on camera. It's like real. It happened. Yeah. We have the footage. So I've got my one laptop here. I've got the other laptop that's streaming, and then I've got the YouTube that's just paused, but I have chat open. And so we were talking in chat. We were talking on the mics, and then being able to like kind of go back and like look at the footage. It was so nice.
It was really good to watch too. Right.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I haven't really watched any of it or kind of broken down and looked at it yet, but if you're saying that,
I only got to watch I think the final and the top 16 game.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit before that. Oh, I got to watch the 3 Rogsai game too, which
that's crazy.
Which was awesome, man. Like who would have thought, right? And none of them on wrong side. Like they were all on straight gas.
Actual Rogsai, and the Blue Farm players were just like,
But yeah, I mean, I think like that approach that you guys took, and you guys, like I said, you guys let the games breathe, which is what I think people want, you know, having commentating and player audio, and having a good mix of both is I think the way forward for sure.
What we had talked about before was trying to not make it like esports commentating, because you certainly can have those like hype moments where things are really exciting and like, oh my gosh, like, you know, he's about to do this, and then but 99% of the game is not like that.
Right.
In esports, you can have those moments more often, and I'm thinking about like League of Legends or Counter-Strike and stuff like that. For sure. Where you have those explosive plays.
We've all seen the like fights in the Baron pit, right?
But like, even so, the explosive plays in us, they happen slowly. Like there's not like, oh, I played this and this and this and this, and like you're not like slamming cards down on the table.
It's like oh, they hit it, right? Yeah. And you're like, oh, like what does the table do to react to this?
Right. I think the other thing we were cautious about is respecting our audience and trying to say, like, if you're watching a cEDH final in a 300 player tournament, you probably know what cards are being played.
You're a junkie like us, dude.
Yeah, you're a degenerate. Like you want this, but you also kind of want to know, like, do we have any insight as to what's being played, or what?
Right.
What are they angling for?
Which, like, especially with a kind of off meta deck like Lumra, having Eric there to be able to like somewhat explain the lines, being like, hey, this is like kind of what they're looking for. This is maybe what they're going to go get with this Nature's Rhythm.
Yeah.
Was super helpful, and I'm sure that like a lot of people found it super helpful, right?
There was one comment that we got. Someone had asked, "Can they hear you?" Because you're predicting what they're doing like too regularly,
right?
And I was like, no, I'm just incredibly locked in with what's going on. Like, I am soul reading them.
Because
I'm like, oh, this. I wonder if they're gonna find this as their tutor target. I wonder if they're gonna do this next, and on their next turn, they're looking to make this play,
right?
And then they do it, and I'm like, oh, it just felt. And that was so satisfying to be.
That is us just being able to, like, since we play consistently with like these high level players like Jason and a few other folks in Denver. I mean, Denver's just loaded with people, but like we get to see those things happen, and we're like, oh, like I have been cooked by this line,
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to comment about, and this is probably the last thing I'll say about commentating, is that I was sick at Heisenberg. Did okay, and then in recovering, I was kind of taking it easy, playing decks that like I don't really need to politic a whole lot, and just kind of playing for fun. I have all the points I need for the invitational if I end up going, so I'm not really worried about that. I just want to play and have fun at tournaments and stuff like that. So I was kind of taking it easy, and then I kind of started to get this feeling of, am I like retiring from cEDH, or is there a do I need to be playing at my best in order to like actively participate in the format? And then I got my answer with this, and the answer is no. Like,
oh, interesting.
I feel so satisfied just by doing that and being able to give people the experience of just giving them information about what's going on.
Interesting. I know that like, there is a famous commentator for like Melee for Smash.
Oh, okay.
That says the exact same thing about Melee. He's like, I can't hang with these guys anymore. But commentating, like, it scratches that same itch, which is pretty interesting.
I don't think I'm retiring. Like, I love competing, but just being able to take a breather from going to tournaments every weekend and like playing and maybe I'll do really well, maybe I won't, and then just that back and forth of that, and then being able to take a weekend off with Eric, and we both just like, I think we crushed it. I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but I think we did a good job, and I know that the TO was really happy with us. So like just having that experience and being able to interact with the community in a different way was really good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, having two knowledgeable people being able to like somewhat explain what is happening in the game is also just, it's very good for new players as well. If they want to watch Lan Go to 10K.
And that's ultimately what we want, is we want the experience to be kind of seamless and approachable and that sort of thing. And to say like, these are the fun aspects, and like, yeah, competition's tough, and these players can be, aggressive with each other, or they can be disappointed, or you have these emotional swings and ups and downs. And we're trying to smooth that out and say like, sometimes it's just like that in competition. Yeah. It's like that in basketball. It's like that in Formula One. There's emotions run high. Like there's all these things that happen to players, and this is even what we talked about earlier in our episode, or in this episode. It's just we're all people. Losing is not fun, but like it makes winning fun
so much better.
Right. So. Yeah. That's about enough of commentating. I did want to share some Freedom Waffle pictures.
Yeah, this seems so fun, man.
From the event. It was huge. There were like 700 people there. There were 15 vendors or something like that. There's the whole gallery. We'll post the whole gallery. There's
it being treated like a convention is awesome.
We didn't know what to expect. Yeah. We're like, oh, we're going to commentate a tournament that's the size of like Fishbowl.
Yeah.
And then there were 2.5 times the amount of people at Fishbowl.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And we couldn't walk down the hallway without people stopping and talking to us.
Really?
No.
That's awesome.
Like I would run an errand to go grab Wayne, the TO, I would ask him something like, hey, do you want us to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And he was literally down at the other end of the hall, and not like it's like a couple hundred feet, like 300 feet or something.
Yeah.
Couldn't get there. I would always get stopped.
Okay, so I do have a quick question, and we don't need to talk about this for a long time, but how did you guys choose which pods to like pull?
It was a combination of, first it was the first day was like recognizable names of people who I either haven't seen play, and I wanted to, like, selfishly, I wanted to watch them play, and I was like, oh, I know they played an interesting deck or whatever, like I want to see them play. And then the second day, it was who's on that winning in, you must win in order to get in.
Okay, that's awesome.
And that turned out really well. Yeah, because the second day we had a game with Abby and Lily.
I watched a little bit of that game.
That game was great.
Yeah.
And like
they were phenomenal players. All four of them were phenomenal.
All four of them were great, but they were all four players were on that winning end, and all the players were super nice to each other. But like they're like, no, we can't draw.
Oh, also in that game, shout out Vexing Bauble, dude.
No. No. Only that deck can run it because it makes Buku mana.
Yeah.
Your deck doesn't do that. Don't run Vexing Bauble in your deck. Man. I was like, oh, fucking Austin's never gonna let me, like, he's never gonna shut up about it.
Vexing Bauble enjoyers, you know?
Yeah. And then, the other cool thing was getting player interviews after the game. We'd pull one aside. Like, are you okay with us interviewing you? Mm-hmm. Because they provide a lot of good insights. So we'll probably try to upload those at the tail end of the game. So what we'll do is upload and edit that game and cut out any kind of like dead spots and stuff like that. And then we'll have the player interview at the end.
Yeah.
Kind of capping off, that tournament.
That's awesome.
So, that was great. And then here's some more shots of the convention hall.
Wow.
Just people everywhere. There's Wayne. You can kind of see that's Wayne.
Okay.
That's the front door area here, and you can see some of the vendors. Like KMC was there.
Wow.
And it was just, stuff you wouldn't expect. Freedom Waffle takes the best photos.
He really does. It's so impressive. Every time I look at his photos, I'm like, wait, this guy's also one of the best players.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm in top 4 anyway.
Yeah.
Here's this Google Drive full of like 300 photos.
He's like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go take some photos, and you're like, okay, man, enjoy it. Like, yeah. And he loves both aspects, right?
Yeah. And Double Sleeved MTG was there. Shout out to them.
Nice.
We got to record about 4 games with them. I think 2 will be on their channel, 2 will be on ours.
Okay.
So look for that coming up. They were super nice and really awesome to hang out with. We had previously tried to connect with them online, and for reasons that are completely ours, it didn't work out. We just got super busy, and also I forgot, which is 100% my fault. But then they said they were going to this, and I was like, oh, okay, we got to connect. We got to make it work. But it was awesome. It was totally worth it. So
nice.
Worked out. And then Snowball was there. Snowball in 26. I think we just call him Snowball. He does incredible art. A lot of people compare him to Gold Sabertooth, but like I think he's got his
very
own
distinct. Style. Very very different artwork.
And he did the art. He did this art for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Let me find that photo again.
He's also pretty active in the Glarb Discord.
He's active in our Discord. He plays in our league.
Yeah, I know.
He's like everywhere, which is really cool. And then this is a photo.
Streaming setup.
This is our streaming setup. So I think there's some modifications we can make to make this a little bit even more high quality. But the lighting turned out good. Everything was very colorful. That was one thing that I noticed. I was like, wow,
very
the colors
clear.
Like really popped.
Yeah.
And we try to keep the overlay minimal so that in post we can add stuff.
Yeah.
And then also we're trying to let the players and the cards kind of speak for themselves. Right. Hopefully that worked okay, but we'll see if we can improve some things moving forward. We're always going to try to make things better. But yeah, we've got Max, and this is actually the top 4 pod, and you can see this is how you should do it. You have a judge sitting over the shoulder of 2 players on either side.
Yeah, like legitimately just shadowing.
Yeah, they're just like, they're watching everything. They're right there. Those judges were locked in for top 16 and top 4. So that was really, really cool to see. I think that's the right way to do it. And here's a photo with us and Snowballin'. And he gave us 2 really awesome mats. The one I'm holding is Anala.
This mat is so sick.
You like that one?
It's so awesome, man. Like, I just love this, like, aesthetic for a Magic the Gathering playmat.
Again, people compare him to Gold Sabertooth, but, like, he definitely has his own style.
Yeah, it's so different. There's no beanies in there, you know?
And then Eric's is a Kinnan mat, and it's Adventure Time themed.
Adventure Time? Oh, I didn't even see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then after he had, like, graffitied on Eric's mat, so it's totally unique.
Oh, okay.
There's stuff all over.
Dude, I'm stoked to see it.
Yeah,
I'm sure
really,
Eric's
really
gonna play it.
The quality is really nice too. So like, go check out his stuff. We'll link his shop in the description.
Yeah. He's always been super nice too. I've had a few conversations with him.
Yep.
And yeah, I really like the guy.
Yep. So it was really fun hanging out with him, and we have an interview that is separate from all like the event coverage that we did with him that will be posted at some point.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then this is Emily was commenting about this photo. She's like, "This is really serving The Shining, like the trike going down the hallway and stuff in the hotel." Dude. And but yeah, this is, I don't know. Evan was just messing around.
Sorry, like weird tangent. I literally didn't know that movie was based on the hotel that's like. Oh yeah, it's like here.
It's in Estes Park.
Yeah. I went there. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. But yeah, our room was like down here, and then the event hall was just not too far back the other way. So we'd walk down this hall, and people would just stop us. Eric said he got stopped like in the bathroom.
Oh God,
it's fine, but like don't do that. It's kind of
weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Like catch me outside.
Yeah,
like, it's fine. Anyway, speaking of, I think it's just such a shame that people are leaving a bad like black mark on this weekend.
Yeah, because it seemed like everyone had a blast.
We all had fun.
Yeah,
and people saying that cEDH is dead or is not competitive or it's not fun or these are problems. Like maybe we have problems, but like you don't get this elsewhere.
We're also, as a format, we're like in our infancy still, right? Like
sure.
Yeah. Like we're gonna grow and get better.
But
like,
it's fun to be a part of something that's growing.
Yeah, man. It's 100%. It feels like still grassroots.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
we're definitely like the Wild West. We don't have support from anyone.
No, everyone's just like, all right, we're just gonna make our own pricing. Like, who cares? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then you get pictures like this where people are just having a blast.
Yeah, this is Ty. I don't know who the other guy is. I'm sure he's a homie, but Ty was one of the guys that played wrong side. I think he was playing it all weekend. But
he's doing super well in Top Deck, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He hit number 1 in ELO with wrong side.
Okay.
That was the guy.
Yeah.
So we got to meet him in person. That was super awesome. He was in a quick little short story. They had these like little LCQs firing.
Okay.
Which is a last chance qualifier. So basically, you would.
Okay.
It's a 16-player thing.
Yeah.
So you get 4 pods. Whoever wins the whole thing. You get qualified to go into one of the events.
To the Invitational?
I think so.
That's wild.
He ended up winning one of his pods, but I thought he was playing a casual game. So like I walked over, and I was like, "Oh, let me see your hand." And he's like, "Bro, like, what are you doing?" And I was like, I don't know.
You're like, my bad.
And then afterwards, he's like, he sent me a picture of. He's like, "Oh, I just won the LCQ I was in." I was like, I didn't know you were in a
my
game.
bad.
Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, so I felt really bad. But, no, it was a fun time. Like, and again, everyone, for the most part, like not everyone's gonna have the best day of their lives, but the vibes were good. Everything was awesome. It was well run. I mean, there's really nothing more we could ask for.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It sounds like a crazy fun event.
Yep, it really was. Sam Black had the style on me?
I think Sam Black beat them in the redemption event.
Oh, man.
Is what I saw.
Dang. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. So that's our coverage of Lan Go, or at least recap. I'm sure we'll have cover top 16 and all that stuff. But moving on, you can try to pronounce this first.
It's Louis. I have no, dude. We tried to look it up. It's
Louis Joe's
Sacrifice.
I think that's how I'm going to pronounce it.
Yeah, I think I'm going with
that is
Louis.
My educated
I think I'm going with Louis Sacrifice.
It's French.
Yeah.
So,
what are your thoughts on this card?
Okay, let's read the card. It's 1 blue mana, instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a legendary creature or pay 2 generic. Counter target activated ability, triggered ability, or non-creature spell.
Is this the first playable Stifle in our format?
It's a Rograt card, I'll tell you that.
It's a Yoshi card that I'm for sure testing too.
Yeah.
I think this is very interesting.
Yeah, I do like it a lot.
I don't know if it is a card that is reading better that it's going to play.
I think this goes in Ragavan decks. This makes Ragavan useful.
Yeah.
Right, because once you get past 2 or 3, no, you're not second.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
So the reason why I'm thinking about this card right now is that, and stop me if I'm wrong, is it reads 1 mana, sacrifice Yoshi, keep my Grand Abolisher on the field.
Keep your Grand Abolisher on the field. Yeah.
Because it stops channel abilities, right?
Keeps Breach on the field.
Keeps Breach on the field. This card seems so...
Yeah, you can anti-Boseiju.
Yeah. This is a counterspell for those channel lands that have been a pain in my side as a Yoshi.
This is also an
player.
anti-Thassa's.
It finally, like I'm saying, do we have a Stifle?
I find it hard to, like, if you're playing Ragavan, like I said, if you're playing Ragavan in a deck, Ragavan stops being useful.
Yeah, 100%.
And then it just sits there. Yep. Then it gets sacked to Calling the Weak or Die Block in 10 or who knows what.
Flare or whatever.
Or just dies to Bowmaster or whatever.
For sure.
But like, this makes it useful again.
Yeah. This card's so interesting to me.
I really like it.
I like it too. I am definitely putting it in Yoshi to see.
I'm going to test it. I'm not making any statements about it saying like, oh, it's gas, it's it's good or whatever. But the part that it counters a non-creature spell, that makes it way better.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Because if it just said activated ability or triggered ability, I don't think we would be talking.
We already have Stifle, right? That's 1 mana.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking.
We wouldn't be talking about it at all. But the fact that it is also a non-creature spell.
Yeah.
Like, this goes back to our earlier conversation about like what counter spells do you run, right? And everyone knows like the normal suite of like 6 to 8 that everyone puts in every deck.
Yep.
But this is counterspell number 9 that could be Offer or Swan Song or this.
You don't run this in like Master of Keys though.
No, of course not. Of course not. But I'm saying like this is in replace of one of those like quote unquote fringe counter spells that your deck can take advantage of more than other decks, right?
I think this is going to see significant play, but I think the harder thing to predict will be, will Jason test it in Blue Farm?
I don't think he does. I mean, he might test it, but I don't think it'll see play in Farm.
Do you care about sacking Crom, though? Like, if he's got Crom out?
The problem is Jason never plays Crom.
That's true. He doesn't.
I think that if you're, like, on that Tymna plan and have realized that there's a wall of blockers, then maybe if, like, that is the... If you're on, like, the Esper version of the deck, then maybe this sees a little bit more play because you usually are leaning a little bit more into Tymna.
Okay.
Then maybe, but I just don't. I don't see Jason playing this card just because he doesn't.
I see versions of Blue Farm playing this card.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see Jason playing this card.
He doesn't play creatures. Like they just don't.
No, he doesn't.
The only creatures that like hit the battlefield are Lotho.
Right now he's playing the proactive version as well. So he doesn't really care about this.
Yeah. But Rogthrast is for sure going to test this.
Wrongsai
for sure test this.
No, I'm just playing it.
Yeah,
I'm not really testing it. I'm just playing it. Like there's not really much to test.
Yeah, I think this is immediately going into Yoshi. I definitely want to see what it does.
Probably.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that would... It's interesting that it's a legendary creature.
Right. This is such a well-designed card.
It really
because
is.
The negatives are a negative, right?
Yeah.
But the positives
3
are
mana for this
so interesting.
3 mana is not bad.
That's true. Yeah. Like the floor on this card is still not that bad.
Okay, if the top line didn't exist, or the top line said... Yeah, the top line didn't exist. It's 2 generic, 1 blue. We don't have any other counterspells that are 2 generic, 1 blue, right?
No, not that I think of.
Because like delay is 1 and 1.
Delay is 1 and 1. I think that this
Mana
card would
Drain's
have
double
to
blue.
be a
Counterspell's
universal counterspell to see play at 3 mana.
No, I know that, but I just mean that like the 2 generic is like, I don't know, I got a Soul Ring laying around sometimes.
Yeah, I mean my deck is so pip heavy that usually colorless mana is like easy to come by most of the time.
Yeah, so
and I think that's a few of us for sure.
This would be, if this were 1 colorless and it said pay 2 blue, I don't think anyone would be playing.
Oh no, I don't think this would be talked about. Yeah.
So this card's very interesting.
Yeah.
If you are planning on playing it in your build or testing it,
let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please let us know. We're super intrigued by it. The art, I don't really know.
Stifle, man. A playable Stifle is so cool.
I'll have to look up the lore on this card. I know that the character depicted is an NPC, so I don't know if that's the kind of energy I want to represent with my deck. You know, playing NPC cards, like I'm the main character. I don't know.
I mean, I sacrifice my good boy at all times.
Right.
So.
Anyway,
moving on. I think that card's really interesting though.
Off-color fetches, do they actually make a difference?
I think again the answer is it depends on the deck, right?
Really?
I think that
you don't just like auto include 9 fetches in your 3-color deck?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, 100%. To go fetch, like an off-color fetch still grabs whatever color you need most of the time. Like 85 to 90%.
The numbers are good,
right? Yeah, the numbers are good.
It works out in your favor.
But I think I read part of these comments being like it thins out your deck, which is just like
it is
mathematically true.
It's technically true. But in some decks you run out of fetchable targets.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's real.
So
I've done it in Master of Keys so many times.
It happens to be in Glarb.
Yep.
Right?
Oh,
That's why I include Yavimaya and Urborg. Because I can turn these fetches into lands
and
that tap.
Dryad.
And Dryad. You can turn the lands that tap into mana. Fetch lands are also just good. If you, for any reason, know what's on top of your library and you don't want it there, I'm fetching.
Yeah.
But like Glarb is a good example of that. Elsh is another good example of that. If you happen to run Reality Chip for some reason, you know, like, it's okay.
There's some Rog Thrasses that are on Reality Chip, which is, I think, super interesting.
But, like, you could play 4 fetches in Urza. Or 5 with Prismatic Vista.
Are they running the fetches?
I do in mine.
I think so. I think, regardless of you're playing the fetches, most of the time, even if it's just to put a card in your graveyard, most of the time that's like enough.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's usually good, right? I mean, we saw in like the top 16 game at Lan Go that like Max was 1 card short. Oh, I have a fetch. Cool. Yeah. Sounds great. And got there, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that is...
And that's for a breach line. So, like,
that's breach line.
A breach deck, you're like, oh, cool. I get to fetch. I get the exact color I want, or very close to it. And then I get to put a card in the yard on top of that. Who cares if I'm taking 1 life? Like, it doesn't matter. It never matters.
It literally doesn't matter. Yeah.
So, the concept of thinning your deck... Probably not, because these are...
a little...
At maximum, they're 10% of your deck, right? Because you can only run 10 fetches.
Yeah.
So at maximum, you're at 10. You're thinning 10 cards, but are you doing that over 10 turns? That would be 1 fetch per turn, right?
For the most part, unless you're running...
Exactly.
Exploration and other random stuff.
Yeah. It doesn't really work, even though it's, like, technically correct.
Technically true. Yeah, it's not a 60 card format, right? Like 60 card format, thinning your deck is absolutely true.
Yes, we can run 4 of each one.
Yeah.
So there's something to that for sure. Anyway, I don't think there's really a whole lot more to talk about on this.
No, I don't think so. I think like just the fact that you can go grab whatever color you need to, sometimes you get into the situation where your off-colored fetch wants to find the target that's already on the battlefield, but like it happens.
Yeah, like who cares at that point? You're probably so deep into the game it doesn't matter.
Right.
You have some other sort of mana generation elsewhere.
So run your fetches.
Yeah. Eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables.
This was a long episode. We talked about a lot. We talked about a lot of negative things, which we don't really touch on a whole lot for the most part. I think it's good to try to keep things positive, and if we put out positive energy and good vibes and stuff like that, that's what we'll get back. That's the kind of audience we want. I think overall, this is kind of what we wanted to end on. I had posted this. I said, I think this was yesterday. It was Monday after everyone's starting to blow up about the events of the weekend and, cheater winning a tournament and stuff like that. And it's like, everybody needs to relax. Like,
yep.
99% of you are not in these tournaments. You don't even play in tournaments. Maybe you want to play in tournaments. That's fine. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to have opinions. But, like, I was at the event in which Temujin won the event.
Yeah.
From my perspective, the vibes weren't bad. Like, everything was fine. Things, like, life is going to move on. You have to remember, again, these people are real people. They have feelings. They have, I think on some level, even though he cheated, he deserves a little bit of respect. I think that trying to make a name for yourself and try to come back, there's something to that.
Yeah. I mean, and he's doing, from what I understand behind the scenes, he is doing things correctly, where he's reaching out to TOs. He's not just trying to like snake a tournament. He's reaching out to these people. They're accepting it because he's being honest and straightforward. And I'll be very honest. I played against him in a tournament like 2-3 weeks ago down at the Springs, and he's a blast to play against. He's a very good player.
Oh, he whipped my ass in that tournament. Like, it was just like,
yep, lost to him too.
I was like, dude, he asked me, he's like, hey, I hope we don't have any hard feelings. Like, I know we've, because I was related because I TO'd one of the tournaments that was like right before the incident and stuff like that. And he was very apologetic. He was super nice. And then he beat my ass. And like, he didn't cheat. I was watching.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not stupid.
Same.
But also like, he's a local to us. I was also in the tournament in which he cheated. So like,
yeah, Jason was in the game.
Jason was in the game.
Yeah.
If you look at the video and you look directly to the left of him, there's Jason.
Yeah.
I think that we have a little bit more of an opinion about this sort of thing because we were there or they're like involved, and it's someone I see with my own eyes. I can go out and like maybe we'll be at King Soopers or grocery store or whatever. I'll see him, that type of thing.
Yep.
So like maybe that's why I have the opinion that I do, but I'm just like very cautious of like shunning what is likely a good person at his heart from a hobby.
Yeah, I think that in general, people, if we looked at ourselves and were judged at our worst action, I think that most people would not want to be put into the spotlight for that worst action, right? And especially someone that is showing regret, right? I know that there's some people that saying he's not, but that's just not true. No.
I also don't think that people would feel the way they did if he didn't win.
Oh, that's 100% honest, because there was another person branded in that event that people are not talking about.
Yeah.
Like that is proof right there.
Yeah. I mean, I also think it's really unfortunate the winner of the Lan Go Open, his name's Kellen, I believe.
I'm not 100% sure.
I think he's a Nashville local. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. He won on Tim Nadargo.
And it's not even being talked about, which is so sad.
It's totally being overshadowed by these like I'm not saying they're not problems, but like it's not a big deal to anyone that was there.
Dude, people should be stoked that he won with a Deadpool, man. Like
he's like, I saw the fastest Oracle win, but
yeah,
I got Deadpool.
Yeah,
like,
he literally was like talking about it with being like Tainted Pact. All right. I still got a line. He's like, I didn't see Deadpool. We're okay, and that's so great. You know, like
yeah,
there's so much positives about the format right now that I think that we need to focus on that stuff instead of the negatives.
And not to say that we shouldn't address the negative things. I think we should definitely try. I after all of this and saying, you know, talking about cheating and stuff like that, we don't advocate for cheaters.
No.
At all. Mm-mm. We don't allow cheaters in our format. We don't do, you know, anything like that. So it is a hard line to toe, but in my opinion, there should be some sort of path to redemption for someone who is actually, you know, like regrets their actions and wants to be better. And like he wants to be a force for good in the community. So if the community is not going to let him do that, that's up to the community, I guess. But
yeah,
and I think it's sad.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call him like a close friend.
No,
you don't. You know, like, but I see him and he always says, "Hey, what's up?" And like he talks to us and I know that he's thanked me for, you know, some kind words and stuff like that. But aside from that, like, that's all I have to say about it. There's not.
Yeah.
Like I just wish. There's no reason to drag Gold Sabretooth through the mud for stuff that he said at hour 9 into the game. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Because like the other thing is that we need to understand that this is the internet, right? Is that a lot of these people that are saying these like very negative things wouldn't be saying it to their face, right? Like, and I think that both of the players that are in the fire right now need to understand that like, yeah, that like these are Reddit folks.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to like downplay it at all, but like,
it's
Reddit.
I do want to be clear. If Temujin gets caught cheating again, fuck him.
Oh,
like I you know what I mean? Like it's
true.
It's not. There's no like, you know, I'm gonna vouch for this guy till like the day I die. Like that's
no.
And even for Tim, like I know Tim and I like him and he's a good friend and he supports us and all those things. But it's not. I can't just say like I'm not gonna put my neck on the line for people that cheat or that put a bad stain in the format or, you know, and he's not doing that. But I just mean like.
But we have to let these people like quote unquote learn, right? Like,
but everyone's an individual. Like you're responsible for yourself, you know. And
some of the things that are being said online you wouldn't want those things to be said about your friends or family, right? So I think that you need to keep that in mind when you put those things out there.
One kind of funny story is that someone had commented, "Man, your coverage of this event sucks." And I was like, "I recognize your name." I was like, "Oh, you're in the event hall." I said, "Come talk to me."
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
we want to get better.
Yeah, and radio silence.
Of course.
Right? Like,
of course.
I was like, "Come talk to me." I'm like, "I'm not gonna fight you. Like, if you have something to say to me, come say it."
Yep.
But no, you're gonna hide behind your internet, like and then I'm sorry, you only got 5 points in 6 rounds or 7 rounds. My bad. My coverage sucks. Yeah. Like, you know, it's these type of people that we put so much weight on their comments and what they have to say and the negativity and stuff like that. There's room, believe me, there's room to say negative things about players. Yeah. About the format. There's room. But are those problems that can be fixed? Is that really what we should be focusing on?
Also, it's like such a small percentage of...
It's the loud people.
The like mental energy that I have towards the format. Most of my mental energy is going to our LGS and just jamming games and having fun, right?
And then like, we have a tournament next weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what am I playing? Yeah. Hey, what kind of cards can I put in Yoshi Thras that are questionable?
How am I punting this tournament? Like...
Hey, do I really think Will of the Mardu is gas in my deck now? Like,
we're all here to play cEDH. I think we should do the best we can to support the limited amount of players that we have.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, people have something to provide. Mm-hmm. And overall, the experience is positive. And if you don't like it, then fine. Maybe it's not for you. Mm-hmm. And if it changed when Dockside got banned and stuff like that, and you're just like, it's not for me anymore, that's fine.
Yeah.
But don't don't sit on Reddit and go,
don't literally never play tournaments and then say something about tournament.
Yeah,
play.
there's some one of our locals who never plays in tournaments, just had to pop off about it and start to make comments about like things we're saying, and I said, hey, like I'm right here, you can talk to me. And he's like, no. And then goes in. Literally, one of the top Reddit posts is from him.
I know.
And then he doesn't, he has nothing to back it up with. He has no tournament results, no standings. Plays a terrible deck constantly, and like, it's like, but is this who we want influencing tournament play? No, I don't think so either. So. I know we've talked a lot about a lot of different things in this episode.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
But everyone has opinions, and you might not like ours. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to have fun. We're trying to make the format a good place and welcoming for new players. And we hope you do too.
Yep. I hope to see you guys out there.
Yep. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Come to Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have time limits.
Yeah. And on that note.
Yep. That's all for now. We'll see you in the next one.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.